Hi, happy Tuesday. Thank you for being here for another Team Talk Tuesday. My name is Catherine Gibson. I'm Superstar Director for Team Faith Trust and Purple Pixie Dust. If you have joined me even once before, you will have heard me say that your time is the most valuable thing that you can give someone because it's part of your life you will never get back. Because your time is so valuable, I hope that will bring some value to you tonight. And thank you for sharing it with us. So I have a friend with me today. I'm super excited. My friend Ilka has agreed to share her knowledge on a very fun topic that we all love so much, that maybe we need to share a little disclaimer for, right? So for years and years, I got by saying I can't give tax advice because I'm not a tax professional. And then I went and recruited a tax professional. So, so she's going to give us some advice. This still will not replace like actually going to a tax preparer about your specific situation. So anything we share here is general advice, kind of best practice for keeping good records and getting ready for tax time. However, we would still recommend that you see a professional one-to-one if you need extra help. So do you want to jump in or do you want me to ask you some questions?
I'll jump in first. Okay. So I'm going to echo the thank you from Catherine. And of course, now my dog decides to bark. So we'll just, ignore her as much as possible. So this is by no means a solicitation of any of my services. But I have been doing taxes and bookkeeping for way longer than I've been in Sensi. So taxes and bookkeeping, things like that is something I'm very familiar with. But like I said, in no way, shape, or form am I coming on here to solicit any of my services. So, so I think we're doing this as a question and answer kind of thing. So
yeah. So like I said, for years and years, I got off kind of easy saying I couldn't give advice, but we have gotten a lot of questions and a lot of the same questions come up every year. People, start a small business and hear that they can get write-offs, and then, reels and TikToks go around implying that write-offs mean the government pays for anything you buy for your business. That's right? Like if I buy a new laptop, I get $2,000 cash back from the government.
No, not quite.
So how do write-offs work? What does it mean to get a tax write-off?
Yeah, so a write-off is anything that enhances your business or is required for you to do your business. Now, obviously, in Sensi world terms, because that's what we're going to gear this to, there are things that we are almost required, even though they're optional, but needed to run our business. For example, our website. It is not required by Sensi to run a business and have a website. However, if we do have a website, we know the added value that gives us. So basically, if you want to really think about it, it's if you could stand up in a court of law and justify the expense. If you can do that, it's probably a really good write-off. If there starts to be a little bit of a question mark, you're probably best to either get specific advice about it or leave it off. Generally, our clothes, we don't need specific clothing to do our job. Like
we do need clothes.
You do need clothes.
Okay.
But we don't have a uniform or a requirement like scrubs for a doctor or a nurse or a mechanic that might need specialized work gear to be able to do our jobs.
So there's no like loophole to outfit ourselves with Lululemon leggings and hoodies.
No.
Okay.
But always go big.
Yeah, it's worth a shot. So then things like you mentioned our PWS subscription. What about other subscriptions that we might use, like Sol with Amy for following up? Mm-hmm. What about things that aren't directly related to Scentsy, but we use for our business. Like personally, I subscribe to the pro version of Canva. Would that be a business write-off?
Yes, if you are
Or could it
creating,
be?
it could be if you are creating flyers for Scentsy, like
Okay.
for your Scentsy business, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I know, and it was thanks to one of these team talks. It was our dear Mackenzie who told me about You Me Who. So I did subscribe to that. It is fantastic. If anyone wants to check that out, it just makes me feel so organized.
I would
It
pay
doesn't
money
look
for
like
that
the
to feel
chaos.
organized. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for sure, like if you, again, you'd be like, yeah, could you stand in front of a judge and explain why you'd used Canva Pro as a write-off? Yeah, you probably could.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So what about things like, you mentioned scent of the month. What about items we use like to package our orders? Say like bags or ribbon or tissue or tags or candy.
Yes, absolutely. So typically it would just make sure when you're buying things like that, I would say the most of us probably buy things like that on Amazon, the dollar store, Michael's. I would venture to say that's probably those main places. If you are buying other things, okay, oh, you know what, my kid needs a pack of crayons and this and that, do 2 receipts. Save yourself the headache from having to circle on the receipt. And let's face it, some dollar store receipts are not very good.
No.
You can look at them a month or 2 later and be, and what is some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So save yourself the hassle, have 1 section in your cart or 2 carts or 2 baskets, whatever, and do 2 receipts at the till. And that'll
Smart.
just, then you don't have any question about what was what.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. It actually reminded me of 2 different things. One is that when I come home from the dollar store or Michael's or wherever I've been and bought something for my business, we have a designated spot where all the receipts go. And Joel, who keeps me honest, he asks that I write a category on it. So usually the dollar store, I'm buying tissue paper or little bags for samples. So I write supplies on the top. Or if I've been to the post office and bought stamps, I put postage. If I've bought a bunch of gift cards, then I would put it under team incentives because they're all different categories, I guess, when it comes time to doing your taxes. So writing those down in the moment is really helpful and easier than trying to reconstruct later. The other thing that you made me think of was really good advice that I don't even remember who told me or if I thought of this myself, or probably not. It probably did not come from this brain, but that when you start your business or at the start of a new year is just as good a time. Actually, pause. I just want to say, if you've been doing it wrong for a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, it doesn't matter. Start fresh this year. Okay. And we're going to give you a little bit of a checklist that you can go month by month and just feel better about having your poop in a group when it comes to tax time next year. So one of the best tips was to have a separate bank account for your Scentsy business. You do not need a business account. You're an independent consultant, so you can run through a personal bank account, so you can use a free or very inexpensive checking account. Yep. If it's possible for you, I would also recommend a separate credit card or at least a debit card attached to that account so that you can put the orders through. I do not recommend racking up a credit card by any means, neither does Orville. But that way, just to keep it completely separate from your family budget and family finances, it's just much better, especially as your business grows and you start doing a lot more orders. It's just really good to keep it all separate. Okay. Go ahead.
And those are just good habits. You know, when you establish a good habit, it's easier to keep the good habit, right? Yeah. So, and then when you come home with the receipt, you're not even questioning where does it go, right? Yeah. Speaking of a dollar store, invest in one of those. And I didn't grab one in front of me, but Catherine probably has one right handy. Yeah. probably $3 at the dollar store, give or take.
Max. Yeah.
And if everything's in there for the year, you just put it with your taxes, keep it for 7 years, shred it after that, and move on to the next year. So
Yeah.
when you've got that kind of as a rotating thing, come tax time, then you're literally like, oh, here's this batch of receipts, here's this batch of receipts. If you really want to get fancy, you could staple them. Like, say you went to Michael's a couple times in the month of January, staple them, add them up. Supplies was $78.72. Done. Don't have to.
I hope you're making a lot of money to spend that much on supplies, though. I would actually
maybe that lasts you 6 months.
I hope so.
But
so on that topic too, totally not related to taxes, but like, don't spend more money on supplies than you're earning. Choose a percentage, like maybe 10% of your paycheck goes back towards supplies. Also, talking of these things, I keep one for order forms, customer orders, so that they're all organized by month, and then another one for receipts. So we've talked a little bit about what kind of things we can claim. Oh, this is a big one, because you guys know I love my coffee. Starbucks. As long as I was like thinking about my business or talking about my business or posted a selfie, I can write it off, right?
No. And I'm a Starbucks holic. Those where you stand up in a group and say how many days it's been since the different things. Well, it's been 0 days since I've had a Starbucks, because I had one this morning. So I get it.
You're my person.
But again, could you stand up in a court of law and justify why you had to go to Starbucks for your Scentsy business?
Right. So let's just say the pandemic is over, everything is open, and 4 or 5 of us get together one morning to work at Starbucks. Could we save that receipt for our accountant, maybe?
Yes, that would be something different. Yeah.
Or like a team meeting situation.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Or, maybe you're meeting a potential couple customers who are doing a shop and stuff, right? Sure. Then that's different. If you're just driving around, even delivering orders,
it's a stretch.
Again, it's yeah. And with any kind of meals, like meals is probably the biggest audited expense.
Really?
Yeah.
So people go crazy, don't they?
Yeah. And it's, and kind of to Catherine's point, I was thinking about my business. I took my kids to McDonald's and, I happened to mention Scentsy.
Well, I was wearing a Scentsy shirt.
Yeah. Like it's, the idea is you don't want any red flags with Revenue Canada. And if you make $2,000 a year in Scentsy and you claimed, because let's face it, Starbucks ain't cheap. You claimed $500-600 on meals, it doesn't add up, right? So, the other subscription, I don't know if we talked about it since we started recording, Catherine, was the warmer and scent of the month. I don't think we touched on that with the group.
Maybe we didn't. Go ahead.
Yeah. So with that subscription, it is a write-off if you are using it to promote your business. So what I mean by that is if you just get the subscription and you don't show it off on your social media, you use maybe stock photos off the workstation, you don't use your own personal photos, things like that, it's not really a write-off then. You didn't use it to promote your business. Are you gonna go live and show the warmer? Are you gonna, and that doesn't mean you get sales from it. That doesn't mean you have to get sales from it, but it means you have to show that you are using it for your business. So that's sort of it's a potential write-off if you're using it for your business, if that makes sense. If something's not making sense, please guys just ask a question, because
I turned off everything.
Oh,
but
okay,
I have them written down.
Save your questions to the end.
And this will go up on YouTube as well, so you can always put comments on there or ask us in our team page as well. So our new season sales kits just came out and I bought all of them. So that's a write-off, right?
Again, it kind of goes back to the scent and warmer of the month. Or is it going right into that coastal
My
sunset
personal stash.
counter cleaner? I'm going to wipe my own counters with it. And I haven't shown off that we have this new scent. No, that's great that you got a new scent to clean your house with. But it has to be shown to your customers. So,
right. Or used to make samples or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
I did get the 10 bars, which are amazing, by the way.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I'll probably be making some samples, but I really like the scratch and sniff stickers myself.
Yeah.
It just makes it easy peasy. But I'm going to go and record a sniff session and schedule it in my VIP group. So then I know that I can use these as a
Exactly.
write-off.
Yeah.
And some of them are not my favorite because there always is, right?
Yeah.
Somebody might want to buy it.
Yep. For sure. For sure. So even if we're, investing in a new season sales kit, scent and warmer of the month, something like that, making sure that we do some kind of promotional activity with it, whether it's a video, photo shoot that we then use the photos to actually promote the product. We actually like send out the flyers and whatnot. Okay, that makes sense. So another question that was asked is, do we claim our awards? So for example, there's annual sales award and annual mentor that come with a cash bonus. And there's also other awards that we can earn, like Shooting Star Trainer Award and things like that, even incentive prizes and incentive trips. What do we do about those?
So those are claimed, and they would be shown on our T4As as taxable benefits. So there's be little boxes at the very bottom of your T4A, and I forget what the code is, but it'll have the little code and the amount that we earned. So sometimes it's a little more difficult, I think, at least Catherine might know differently, to pull off of Workstation, like to get a report for that kind of thing. Commission is simple.
There is a way. There is a way in the account tab to run a report, and I missed it so many times, and someone pointed it out. You just click, like, one is earnings and one is awards. It's, if you're looking at it, it's very easy to just choose the other one, and it'll show the breakdown of what the awards were.
Okay. Yeah. So right now, guys, then you can go on and pull off your 2021 commission and awards, and start playing with your numbers. You can, put them into different tax scenarios. You can do different things. On that note, one thing that I recommend, but this is person specific because the amount for everybody is different. You can take some of that and invest in an RRSP. Mm-hmm. If you do that, you're sheltering some of that income. Therefore, you're lowering your income tax. So you are taxed on the income you earn. We're just going to use $10,000 as a round number. So if you earn $10,000, you're taxed on that $10,000. If you put in $1,000 of RRSPs, you are now taxed on $9,000. So it's not a dollar for dollar. And I can't say specifically because everyone's threshold is different, but I can say do not over contribute. You will be penalized. There will be interest owed. Don't do it. So especially there might be some younger ones. I've got Micheline next to me. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have a huge RRSP balance to work with. So she could easily over contribute. Don't do it.
So and I should have said this at the beginning, we're in Canada. So this is all Canada specific, but you can find your contribution room on last year's notice of assessment, correct?
Yes. Okay, yeah. Cool. Or if you have a My Revenue Canada account, it will be in there.
Right.
Do we have a fair bit of US team members?
Only a couple.
Okay. So if because I did work in the US, so if anyone has any questions, we'll kind of leave it for Canada right now, but if anyone has some questions for the US, feel free to post, ask, and I can see what I can do to help you out there, because there's different avenues in the States. So, that is one thing if you want to pay less taxes, and a really good way to pay yourself.
Yeah.
Then we think, this is probably going to the next question, but when we think about how much do we take off our commission to save for tax time, a round number is probably about 25%. If you do have an income stream where you are on a payroll, you should know your tax percentage. If not, I can help you out with that. That's not hard. And so you would still be at that tax percentage with your Sensi income, provided it didn't put you into another bracket. But 25% is probably a good number. Might be a little less, might be a little more, but you would be pretty safe in putting that aside. But again, you could put it aside in an account, or you could, talk to your bank about RRSPs. So
Awesome.
paying yourself before the government, I think
Always
that's
good.
a better idea.
Yeah. So just to be super, super clear, because we are independent consultants and not salaried or hourly employees, Sensi doesn't withhold tax from our commissions, which is great because we get our whole paycheck, but it can be surprising sometimes, especially for consultants who maybe also have a job. I know some people have been surprised in the past that they may be owed tax. So it's really a good rule of thumb to kind of sock away that roughly 25% of your pay every month. It can be in a savings account, it can be in RSPs, it can be, leave it in your pay portal, it doesn't matter. Just being prepared is always better than being surprised. And you know what, if you have enough write-offs and don't owe as much, maybe it's like you're giving yourself a bonus. You never know. But yeah, that's really, really good advice. I also want to share something that comes up every year. We get asked at least 10 times a year. When you are doing your taxes, there is a spot that asks for the industry code. So if you have a pen or a phone to note this down in, the industry code you need when filing your taxes is 454390. So again, the industry code, is that Canada or Ontario?
That's Canada.
Canada, 454390. Just keep that somewhere handy. Or if you lose it, go to our team page and type in industry code in the search, and it'll pop up a dozen times. So thank you for sharing all your wisdom and experience. Can you think of anything to kind of wrap up?
The only we didn't really touch on a vehicle.
Ooh, that's important. That's not a wrap up. That's serious.
Cell phone, and the only other thing I was thinking of was like Vista prints, stock sales, things like that. So
okay,
with your cell phone, unless you have a dedicated phone that is Sensi specific, it is not 100% write-off. Also, there might be some of you guys who also have more than one side hustle. That's fine. But don't try and claim 100% of that cell phone between your side hustles. Because again, that's a red flag. Revenue Canada is going to say, you mean to tell me you never made a personal phone call? You never texted your mom or grandma kind of thing from your phone? So I can't tell you what a good percentage is because it all depends on how you use it. A good rule of thumb is to kind of think about it over maybe about a week. Okay, so how many hours? And with smartphones nowadays, you can see how much your screen time was. And you can kind of say, okay, so I did this, and this. And you can maybe come up with an average of how you used your phone for Sensi. Just keep that percentage. Okay. Your vehicle, what I would suggest to everyone, it's January 11th. Tomorrow morning, go down to your car and note your mileage. Put it in your phone, put it on a calendar, whatever it is. You can record your mileage every month, or you can just put a reminder in your phone for December 31st to record your mileage. Because Revenue Canada says how many miles did you drive in a year? 12,000. Of those 12,000, how many was Sensi related? So again, kind of use an average. Maybe a week is not as good as consistent with your vehicle. Maybe every 2 weeks, maybe every month. And you can say, well, okay, after you add up your hours and kind of think, oh, well, maybe I kind of used my car about 4 or 5 days this month. Just since there's your percentage. So that would then go to your gas. That would go to your oil changes. That can go to car washes. That can go to car maintenance, winter tires. Like that applies to all of that umbrella. Okay. Event registration kind of goes with that too. Yes, if we attend, then it's a write-off.
So if I registered for virtual and didn't bother watching.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And then what benefit was the registration? Well, you got 3 cool bars.
Most expensive bars ever.
Yeah. Yeah. $22 a pop. So, and then your travel to those events. So, you know, I don't live in Mississauga. Or if we are able to travel through Sensi Family Reunion, you know, but yes, that is a write-off. Now, where the question mark would come in is if the event is, well, World Tour is 1 day, but say if anything's more than 1 day, a 2-3 day event, and you decide, you know what, we're going to tack on another 3-4 days for a vacation. Those extra time is not the write-off. It's a great way to get a little vacation because you've just written off your airfare or driving time, but it's only the time of the event time. Stock sales. And it's very easy for it to happen. For some reason, most people, when they buy anything from my stock, love to hand me cash. And then all of a sudden, I have like $300 in my wallet. I never have cash. Now I have to go to the bank and deposit it and make sure that that was all Sensi and record that. Okay. Just because someone hands you $20, it was still income.
Do you have a suggestion? Sorry to interrupt. A good way to record payments or stock sales or things like that, like an app or a sheet of paper or something like that? Because we also would want to record what we've spent on the stock, right? Because I think isn't that part of like cost of goods sold and
absolutely, absolutely. So there is the app called Square. I do have a Square account. I can't remember if you can use the app without having an account. Let me look into that. It is really good because you can basically create an invoice to, you know, Ilka, you don't need a whole lot more of my information, and say 3 bars, $20. And you can create an invoice and mark it as paid. And then you can run a report at the end of the year. Let me confirm that you don't just need a Square account. If people aren't familiar with Square, you can take credit card payments from your phone is basically what it is. They take a percentage. I don't really recommend it. But that aspect of Square is very nice. So that's on my homework list.
Cool. So we do a lot of business and we use QuickBooks.
Yes.
But before I was selling so much, I would even get like a little receipt book from the dollar store and just like write down the person's name and what they bought and what they paid. And I think that was enough. And I kind of put them with that month's stuff, right? If I have a record, would that work for someone maybe who doesn't have a humongous business but wants to keep a good, clean record?
Absolutely. Dollar store receipt books are fabulous. Also, if you might find something on Facebook, right? You might find maybe I've seen different Sensi things or things that you're like, oh, that would be great in a mystery bag. Get your dollar store receipt book, and when you pick it up, ask the person to sign it.
Oh, you
Can't
mean
imagine.
like for when you're buying something?
Yeah,
Smart. Okay, cool.
yeah, because that's a legitimate write-off.
Yeah,
But where's your receipt?
yeah.
I don't know. It was some Ilka girl in Bowmanville on Facebook. Oh,
Some
so
rando.
yeah, pretty much.
That's fun.
Um,
Awesome.
so Vistaprint is, I think, fairly obvious. Um, anything from there is, again, I can't imagine why you would order, say, 1,000 business cards and not put them
Use
out.
them for business. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Team gifts. Yeah, that's a write-off. And then any kind of advertising. So there is maybe if you gave a personal special and you had to spend some money out of your pocket, that would go under your advertising.
Okay, cool. Now, that just made me think of something else. For people who do fundraisers and end up making a charitable donation to an organization, a hospital, whatever the case may be, I have heard, and I don't know if I'm just being confusing right now, but I've heard that sometimes it may be more beneficial to write that expense under advertising than under a charitable donation. Would that just depend on your own tax situation?
Yeah. So with charitable donations, it's a percentage of your income, whereas advertising is the dollar amount. So
Right.
definitely play with that scenario in your taxes.
Try it both
Because
ways.
you might, hey, like I said, I am honest and I'm all for paying the government
Mhm.
what they are owed.
Yeah.
But if they aren't owed as much, I would like that.
That's okay. Yeah. Yeah, for
And
sure.
it's the laws that they've put out there.
Yeah.
So I think that was everything on my list.
Awesome. Sorry, I cut you off too soon.
No.
It felt like so much already. It's so good. Lots of really good information. Thanks for being willing to share again. I really appreciate your time and expertise. And so we will work on getting this recording up as soon as possible. And we also are collaborating on a little bit of a monthly checklist so that if you wanted to spend, half an hour at the end of each month, gathering your receipts and making sure, everybody paid you, then maybe that will help you feel more organized come next year.
And if anyone if you're not comfortable putting a specific question out there, feel free to send me a direct message. That's totally fine. If we're not Facebook friends, maybe just note somewhere that you sent me a message, because I don't always see them in my other folder. So, but if I can help in any way, shape, or form, I'm happy to.
Awesome. You're so generous. Thank you again for your time. And have a good night.